Hello, everyone. So to continue where I left off, I was leaving the campsite that I was staying at when I made the last video, and there was this very nice lady in the way, preventing me from opening the gate as far as I needed to because I was trying to turn in that direction. But a very nice man came and told me I shouldn't be going that way, and he asked me if I knew where I was going because the roads down that way were very rough. And I went that way anyway, and I regret it because I damaged my trailer. And maybe this cow was also trying to warn me, and I should have just gone the other way. But I persisted and explored Mexico, trying to go off the freeway, off to see whatever cool stuff there was, whatever the signs were pointing to. So I saw one sign that was pointing to a pyramid or an archaeological site or something. And I decided to chase it, get off the freeway, and it paid off because I found a very nice man here who was making some street food. At first, I saw some signs that were saying like quesadillas and stuff, and I couldn't tell like where the shop was. Like, was this a restaurant somewhere? I was walking around and I see like this antique lot with all of these ceramics and stuff, and this lady's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Is there food?" And she's like, "No, there's no food here. There's no food anywhere." But finally, I found this guy who had been advertising the quesadillas, and I said, "I want a quesadilla." So he starts making all this meat on this wood stove. And he's just making it right there. Oh, you can see a sign here that says tortillas, hechas, micheladas. I don't even know what those are. But he's making it with this wood stove. And you can see that it's like sticks in there. It's like not even firewood. And I'm also seeing him make actual tortillas, just making tortillas right in front of me. I've never seen anyone make tortillas before. I didn't get a photo of the process, but he has like balls of dough and he presses them, he flattens them, and then puts them on the stove. Um, so yeah, when I'm driving around and getting hungry and I'm like waiting for the perfect place to eat, perfect place to stop, this is the kind of thing that I'm thinking of. It doesn't get any more mom and pop than this. Even though, there's no vegetarian options, like I'm being very flexible with my diet when I travel. I'm willing to eat a lot more meat than I usually would. And as I traveled further and further into the rough terrain of Mexico, um, I never found the pyramid that the signs were pointing to, but I did find um, a historical site, though maybe not an archaeological site. Uh, I drove into a town and asked at the visitor center what to do, and she was telling me about all these cathedrals and whatnot, but then there was also this mine, the Mina dos Estrellas. It was a mine museum, and where I could go and see this old mine. And as I was getting into the woods, I was noticing like this greenery. Looks like a very different biome from most of Mexico. This looks like the kind of, evergreen forest you would see in the Pacific Northwest. Certainly, the trees are much taller than I'm used to in Mexico. Oh, and this was a very very nice thick tree. So they got thick trees and tall trees. And also here was like a little tower as I was approaching the mine. This must have been part of the whole mining operation. I didn't get any photos in the mine while I was getting a tour of the museum because I saw that there was some rule against photo taking, and I didn't know if that was for specific places or if I could take photos somewhere and not others. But I didn't push my luck. But I had a good time. And finally, um, after driving for a ways, I got to Mexico City and I took this very vibrant photo of a nice little town square somewhere as I was um, first wandering around the city trying to find, you know, places to go, to shop, and to stay. for the night. And so yeah, this was a nice little place as I was walking around close to where I had parked. But I went into a shopping center and I noticed there was this Ferris wheel just right in the middle of everything, ascending multiple the multiple stories of this little mall here. Um, and also, I wanted to give an impression of how many tolls you kind of have to pay if you are staying on the toll roads, and there were quite a lot of tolls on the roads around Mexico City. So I kept a few of the receipts to show them off. Um, Also, I finally got to the RV park, and there was a very nice Mexican family staying there next to me, and they were in a trailer that was much smaller than mine. I think of myself as like having the smallest trailer I could possibly have. Like I couldn't fit more than one person in here, but it's embarrassingly large compared to this other trailer that like three or four people were staying in. So so I have a skewed perspective in that way. But these very nice people offered me some food, and I could not turn it down. I asked them if I could take a photo of the cool setup they had, and also within view of the RV park, there was a cool cathedral tower sticking up above the buildings, and I went on a nice little walk trying to get to the pyramids, which were apparently a big tourist attraction near Mexico City. And I found that since this town outside of Mexico City was such a draw for tourists, there was a very nice bustling square to have a walk through. And I don't like taking photos of people very often, but I made an exception here because I noticed two cops walking through town, kind of leaning into each other as though they were drunk. A nice little buddy cop moment that I wanted to capture. And this is a nice bustling market in the middle of town called Mercado Hidalgo, which is a neat place to walk around. Now, most people were masked. You can see that there are some people here who are unmasked, but masked or not, everything was just way too crowded, unfortunately. And as I continued my walk, I found a nice little chihuahua who was guarding an establishment. This chihuahua was able to roam free, but his friends were barking at me very loudly from behind a fence. And I also saw some what looked like stray dogs, a sort of pack of them. They have their leader sort of approaching me to check me out. And fortunately, I was not attacked. They were all happy to continue on their merry way as I continued on my walk. But when I reached the Pyramid of the Sun, which I was trying to get to see, they told me it closed 10 minutes ago. So I don't know, maybe if I had hustled, I could have gotten in, but I was not fast enough. Aw, shucks. But I could see that, it looks very impressive even behind the gate. And as I was walking back, I took a photo of this cactus because it looked like a pretty cool cactus. And I also took a photo of a display along the sort of shopping the stores along the road, because I thought it was kind of funny that you got these very curvaceous lady jeans, and then the man jeans are very very sad by comparison. And I decided to go back to the Pyramid of the Sun the next day because I was not satisfied. It was a long walk, but I was willing to make it again. And I realized that the pyramid, I underestimated how big the pyramid was. I thought, I could just walk up to it, but it was like a 15-minute walk from that gate just to get to the pyramid. And I wanted to take this video of me ascending the first set of steps so you can see sort of perspective change here. And also in that video, you might have heard a cat call. There were quite a lot of street vendors, and some of some of the things they were selling were noisemakers. So, and they were demonstrating the noisemakers, so you could hear these jaguars and birds and stuff, and all of the animal calls. So it was sounding like a jungle out here. And yeah, this tourist trap was teeming with street vendors. There were some with sort of established stands, some were just sitting on the ground, some were walking around approaching people. Amazingly, I got through this whole thing without buying anything. Um, and I wanted to take this panorama shot right here as I got into the first sort of courtyard with the Pyramid of the Sun in front of me. So that's the way back. You can see all these like walls, and there's the Pyramid of the Moon down there a ways. And here we have the Pyramid of the Sun in all its glory. And also, I thought these little mini pyramids next to the Pyramid of the Sun were kind of cool. So rather than just approach the pyramid directly, I kind of walked around the edge and got this shot of the corner. And I wanted to take this video so you could see the parallax as I was walking alongside it. So each layer seems to be moving separately, independently, like these sort of steps. It's not just one smooth side. You've got this sort of layered cake kind of pyramid. And here is this pyramid standing sort of from a distance with some nice vegetation in front of it. Thought this was a pretty cool shot. And I walked down to the Pyramid of the Moon and zoomed in a bit because I had this perspective of it from a distance. And once I reached that courtyard, of course, I took another nice panorama. And this is actually me standing on a little pedestal in the middle of this courtyard. I had to climb up a little bit to get there. And I took this photo because I noticed there's these handrails that make it look like people are supposed to climb up the Pyramid of the Moon. And but clearly there's also this guardrail saying, no, don't climb the Pyramid of the Moon. But there was a pyramid that I could climb nearby. It's a nice little short one, so I wanted to take a photo from when I reached the top, and you can see all this stuff around. And I should mention, I thought I would be able to just go up to the Pyramid of the Sun and look at it and leave. Like, I thought it would be a short visit. I didn't realize it was a whole city that I would have to walk around in. And there was a guy trying to sell me a tour at first, and he's like, oh, it's 90 minutes. And I'm like, I don't want to spend 90 minutes. And of course, I ended up spending much longer than that. But I'm still happy that I didn't get the tour because I felt more free to just kind of explore this way. And it's not all pyramids. I was wondering, like, why is it all pyramids? It's not. Some of it's sort of these, like, labyrinth structures that look pretty cool. I think this one was advertised as though people can walk around inside it, but it was closed at this time for some reason. I don't know why. And I saw this cool kind of pile of rocks that I wanted to get a photo of, and this cool sort of painting. I guess it's very old, probably, and it's sort of covered to protect it from the elements. A roof was attached on here, and this, I think, was just another look at the Pyramid of the Moon as I was getting closer to it. And you can see there are these rails at the top, where people can just, as though people are supposed to go all the way up there. And, wait a minute, no. I think this, yeah, I forget what all these photos are, but I think this is finally me getting to the Pyramid of the Sun. This is the big one, and there are rails as though you're supposed to be able to climb it, but you are not. You are not supposed to climb it. You are not allowed to. But as I moved on, I saw this cool looking tunnel that was very enticing. I thought, if I was a little kid, I would have wanted to just go all the way through it, but as an adult, I'm a little bit large. But as I ascended over this hump, the correct way, just walking up the steps, there were a lot more of these humps and a lot more of these tunnels, and eventually I did go in one of them, because it was just too enticing. I kind of had to crawl on my hands. I didn't. It was tall enough so I didn't have to be on my hands and knees, but I did have to be on my hands and feet. And there was a peddler trying to sell me an obsidian arrow for $1, and I thought it was kind of funny that I disappeared into a hole as though I was trying to escape from him. And I took this photo because I really like this artwork that's supposedly from 2000. I like the way the pyramid looks here and the night sky, and all these people. It looks the sort of cartoonish style, a bit like a video game. It just appeals to me. And there were lots of these plaques around, but I did not take pictures of most of them, because you can read them yourself. I don't know. And I kind of wanted to show that there were just like so many of these humps where you go stairs up, stairs down over and over again as you're walking south along this ancient road of the city. And this is not all of them. I had already ascended and descended quite a lot of them at this point, so I just was taking a picture of the few remaining ones. And here's like this sort of inverted pyramid. It's like a depression into the ground that they built with steps and everything, and sort of these layers. And as I was walking towards what I thought was a museum based on the signs, they were pointing me to a museo, I ended up in the wilderness, and I could not see any of the ancient city, any pyramids or anything, and I was like, did I go the wrong way? I don't see a museum. I never ended up finding the museum, but as I was walking along, with the vegetation, people were writing and drawing on the plant leaves, and so I thought you might want to look at this sort of rocket ship artwork I found. And this is I couldn't tell if it was one plant or many, but it was like this huge bush thing that just made me feel like I was in the jungle, and I wanted to take a picture of it. And here is a nice shot where you can see both the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon that I took when I got back into view of the pyramids, because I was not finding that museum. I was just getting lost, so I kind of came back here. And I saw this area that looks like it would be very fun to walk around in, but I don't think you could. And this was sort of a mini pyramid under the ground, and it's covered to protect it from the elements, presumably. And there's a tunnel that you could walk around underground in, which was very cool. I liked walking underground in this tunnel. And here's some more sort of labyrinth city ruins kind of stuff with a nice little pit here, and some more of that, some more of the city labyrinth. And finally I reached another courtyard with a third pyramid. It's bigger than the mini pyramids, but not nearly as big as the Pyramid of the Sun or the Moon. But this one, you could sort of climb up this one, but it was quite a climb. And I think this was called the Citadel, the Ciudadela, and which is like this big courtyard. And I think the big pyramid thing was the Temple of Quetzalcoatl. But it was actually two pyramids, and so the real pyramid you can't really climb, but you can climb this other pyramid in front of the pyramid. It's like this, like a foothill or something. There's like a valley between them. It's like these two little hills here. And I did climb the thing that I could climb, and I could see the pyramid from the top of this structure. And it was quite some exercise. And you can see that it's these very steep steps, very scary to climb up here. And as I went into the valley in between the two structures, I could see, all of these stone jaguar heads on these steps, and there are some more heads here on the side. And this is an interesting covered structure. I don't know what its deal was, but it was covered. It was surrounded by a fence, but it was a very short fence, so I don't know. Like, people can step over it very easily, so I don't really know if that was supposed to keep people out or not. And this is a picture of the southernmost point. After you go all the way south along this road, you finally reach it. And I saw one of the plaques that the southernmost point of the city had not yet been explored, but I don't know what that means because it doesn't look like there's much to it. Why? It doesn't look like it would be very hard to explore. Um, and as I was walking around the grounds, before I quite was able to exit, I just saw this huge row of cactuses that I wanted to show you. And it's like this whole avenue. You got cactuses along both sides. But I spoke too soon because then I found a cactus garden with even more cactuses. And yes, there were quite a lot of cool cactuses here. And I climbed a little hill, not up the slope that you see here. It was the other side of the hill that I climbed. I didn't climb on the artwork. But it was very dangerous, I realized, going back down, because I knew if I stumbled, I would be stumbling into a cactus. And that cathedral tower you saw in an earlier picture. Now I was finally walking back from the ancient city, and I saw the full cathedral on my way back. And there's this nice little green courtyard too. And here's a nice big stone head with a dog posing alongside it. And I thought it was cool from this perspective. I might have timed this photo better because it seemed like people were going in and out of the mouth from where I was standing. And here are some more dogs. These are back at the RV park. There's 2 Dalmatians and a yellow dog. And I learned one of the dogs was named Travieso, which means naughty. I learned that in Duolingo. And after my huge excursion to the pyramids, another day I decided to go into the city and see some of the sights. And here is a site to see. It's a huge art museum. It looks like it would take forever to see everything inside it. And I didn't actually go inside because I saw there was a line, and the line was moving very slowly, like they were letting people in at a very slow rate. And it just didn't seem worth it to me. It would just be, it would take a long time once I gotten in there anyway. But I did go to an aquarium, and I saw this cool moray, or several cool morays actually. And speaking of sea life, I finally got a proper seafood dish. This was in a city mall, and there was a food court, and I think this was a sort of chain seafood place that had their own kind of seafood called Marley Tune, which was marlin and tuna, and so I got a Marley Tune quesadilla. And I decided to take a long walk because I was in the city, I'd gone to the aquarium, I didn't want to go in the art museum, but I still had some time, and I was looking up things to do in the city, and I decided I wanted to go to a lucha libre show, and there was just about the right amount of time for me to walk, and it was like a 2-hour walk, and it was 2 hours until the show, so I just decided to go on a long walk. And I saw that there was this sort of there were these enclosed little mini soccer fields that kind of resemble what you would imagine sort of an inner city basketball court would look like in the United States. And this, I'm wondering, is this a water tower or a beer tower? But also, I found a real basketball court, so I guess they do play basketball in Mexico. It's not just soccer. And this, I wanted to show you all that they have animated walk lights. Like, you can see somebody running. It's like it's trying to tell you, hurry up, walk, but don't walk slowly. Like, actually get across that street. And finally made it to the Colosseum, and these concrete steps, very steep, descending down them, made me feel like I was back at the pyramids. And this was the first match between Hulk Hogan and Benicio del Toro. And I kind of felt like if you're not going to wear the masks, what's the point? Like, why even do lucha libre? But I had heard that these matches were scripted, and it's a good thing they are because I probably um, would like it better that way than real violence. I don't think I would like it if they were like actually hurting each other, but I didn't realize it would be so like stupidly, obviously fake. Like nothing in it looked like they were really fighting each other. They were always just pretending they were like helping each other up when they were knocked down, while vaguely trying to make it look like an attack. You know, when they swing and flip around each other, it's clear that they're like helping each other do these acrobatics. So yeah, they are performers. They are acrobats. It's another circus performance, um, rather than a real fight. It's stage combat. And I wanted to show you how dedicated Mexico is to public health and safety. They take biohazards very seriously. They were wiping and spraying everything down in between the matches. And this next match is a tag team, 2 versus 2, with wrestlers who are shorter than the ring itself. And one of the teams like didn't wear masks, and they had their names sort of written on their butts. And one of them was named Micro, and the other was named Chomwell. And people were really cheering for Chomwell. They were like chanting his name and stuff. I guess it's because they liked his character, his persona. Maybe they recognized him if they are regular attendees of Lucha Libre. But at first I was thinking, I don't really like this match because it's like the unmasked team were the cheaters. Like they would take pot shots at the other guys. Like when it wasn't their turn, when they hadn't tagged out, they would like team up. They would gang up, and the referee uh, had a talk with them, but didn't really do anything. But I guess it's all a show anyway. Nobody ever gets really penalized for anything. So it's like, what's the point of the referee? But it seemed like the maskless team was the charmers, like they were supposed to be the ones you're cheering for. But so it was too bad that they were also the cheaters. But in the end, they didn't end up winning. They ended up getting defeated. So maybe that does send the message that cheating does not pay off. Um, Next up, we had a team of 3 here, which and they had masks over their masks. You can see one of them taking the mask off and one of them holding a mask, sort of like Masquerade, these white Phantom of the Opera masks. And they took those off to reveal their true lucha libre masks. And I could see that this the other team showed up, and it was a 3 against 3 kind of brawl, and one person ended up on a stretcher, which I guess was just part of the show, as they are all falling off the ring. And here is another 2x2 match, and they had a sort of beast theme. There was like Lion King stuff going on, and I guess lucha libre is kind of relatable to burlesque in the way that you come up with a persona, and come up with your costume and your character and your act and everything. Give people something to cheer for there. And this was the final match. Was it a 2 against 2? No, this was another 3 against 3. I think it was a big old brawl. Lots of crazy characters. And I stayed out so late seeing that Lucha Libre show because looking at Google Maps, it seemed like I'd be able to get a bus back to the RV park just fine. But here I am wandering around in the night and seeing just the streets filled with these like abandoned looking stands. I want to take a picture of this because it was just like so trashy looking. I'm guessing that people had taken down their market stalls for the night or something, and that it would look better during the day. But wow, this sort of abandoned looking street was just nuts. And I made it to a subway station where I could catch a train, and I was admiring this sort of pixel art tiles. And at another station that I made a transfer at, there were lucha libre drawings on the walls. So that seemed like a nice little coincidence. But Google Maps often fails me in Mexico, and it said the final bus that I needed to take that was traveling a long ways back to the RV park left every 10 minutes. But I finally found what I thought was the correct bus, and they said, I was sitting in it expecting it to leave, soon, but then I finally asked, hey, when does this bus leave? And it wasn't for another 40 minutes. And it was like, oh my gosh. So I'm just supposed to sit here and wait, and it was going to get so much later than I had thought it was going to be. And when the bus finally did leave, it was following the exact route on Google Maps, so I thought it must be the correct bus, but then it stopped. It stopped short, and I was asked to get off, and I was trying to ask for an explanation, and it turned out it was the wrong bus. And if I had taken the correct bus, I could have left much sooner. So that was a miserable night and a miserable story. So I was out there super late, and the bus driver was like, "Oh, you can get to your trailer park, just walk, for 20 minutes." But then I started walking, and I was looking at Google Maps. It turned out it was more like a 45-minute walk, and it was so cold out, and I was in shorts and a t-shirt because I was not expecting this to happen to me and having to be walking around by myself in this cold night. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, am I going to die from, getting mugged, or am I going to die from this cold? But there is a happy ending because the bus driver showed up to rescue me. He had a change of heart, and he decided he didn't want me out walking by myself. And he said that was bad vibes. So he ended up driving me all the way back into the town I was staying in. And he would not accept a tip. And his wife and kids were in the bus too, supposedly, and this was like 1 a.m., so the kids were asleep. But this this bus driver still wanted to look out for me, even though he had a family to take care of. And so that is my story for last night. And this final slide was in town. I didn't have to take a bus or anything, but I knew there was a choco chocolateria, a nice little chocolate cafe where I could get this Aztec chocolate, super fancy, and just to give you an impression of how cheap the food is here in Mexico, this chocolate was 65 pesos, which is more expensive than most of the meals that you can get here. And so this was more expensive than the guava tamale that I got. But altogether, this meal was like $5. And this was like at a fancy high-end kind of chocolate cafe for tourists. So that just goes to show you, most stuff is cheaper than that, cheaper than $5. But I definitely enjoyed this, and so that was very nice. And thank you all for watching my video. This is the last slide.